Hello. For many, the early 80s was a period of boundless fantasy. Crystals were dark, stories were never ending, and everyone spent a lot of time trying to solve Nick Kershaw's riddle. But perhaps the greatest step forward in fantasy fiction would be when it started fighting back. Part game, part book, all action. The series of non-linear adventures written by Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone would forge warriors and warlocks from a generation of readers. But what pathway did those two creators choose that would lead to such success? I'm Jordan, this is Jordan Sorcery, and today you are the YouTuber, because this is the interactive history of fighting fantasy. Welcome to this adventure through the history of one of the most successful fantasy franchises ever committed to paper. Fighting fantasy first appeared in 1982 with the Warlock of Firetop Mountain, and though there may have been a few interruptions over the years, there's now been more than 40 years worth of gamebooks, puzzle quests, role-playing games, board games, and plenty of other merch. From all of that, there would emerge a fantasy world populated with fearsome necromancers, furry jib-jibs, and thousands of other terrifying creatures besides. This video is a little bit different to my usual histories, and that's because this is an interactive one. You are the YouTuber, at least sort of. And that's because you're going to get to choose what order we progress through this history. What chapters will we watch next? What topics will we cover? Will we encounter monsters? Will we uncover treasures and secrets in the heart of this maze? It's going to be up to you. I have been so excited about sharing this exploration of fighting fantasy's past, and along with my ongoing series about the making of Warhammer Fantasy, it has been an absolute joy to research and write and produce. I hope that you're excited about the quest you're going to undertake shortly, and if you are, feel free to leave a comment and a like on this video. That's because you're going to leave it behind very, very soon as you start your adventure onto the first topic that we're going to cover. If you do want to support me in making these kinds of documentaries, linear and otherwise, about the games and game books that we all love, feel free to take a look at my Patreon via the link in the description below. Originally published by Puffin Books, the Fighting Fantasy series quickly became a phenomenon, selling more than 17 million copies. It got so popular that at one point they published a new fighting fantasy book every other month. The stories were mostly tales of fantasy and heroism, but there were science fiction stories, horror, and even a superhero book as well. Over the course of the initial Puffin Books run, 59 fighting fantasy gamebooks would see the reader take on death-trap dungeons, seas of blood, temples of terror, and the diabolical machinations of the Demonic Three, the greatest and most evil wizards of their time: Zagor, Balthus Dire, and Zaradan Mar. From the series, a new fantasy world would take shape, Titan, along with parallel dimensions, science fiction worlds, and alternate planes. And through all of it, you were the hero. Before beginning on your quest, you would grab some dice and roll up your 3 basic stats: skill, stamina, and luck. And then you would write them down on your adventure sheet. Your skill score reflects your swordsmanship and general fighting expertise, the higher the better. Your stamina score reflects general constitution, your will to survive, your determination and overall fitness. The higher your stamina score, the longer you will be able to survive. Your luck score indicates how naturally lucky you are, a resource that can at times be gambled upon to try and gain an advantage or other boon. Sometimes you'd also have spells, equipment, and other unique abilities, but no matter your starting status, it would be the decisions that you made that dictated your fate. You chose whether to descend into the dungeons or climb up the tower, scout out the beach or trek through the swamp. It was your choices and your dice rolls that told the story. The books weren't written linearly, so you didn't just read from one chapter to the next in a standard order. Instead, they were split into 400 sections or references, which were scattered out of order across the pages of the book and headed up by their reference number. When you got to the end of each section, you were presented with a choice: go here or do that, and each option had a reference number that you would then turn to so that you could continue the narrative. The tunnel gradually widens, and your feeling of claustrophobia recedes. Before long, you are back at a T-junction. If you wish to turn left, turn to 101. If you wish to turn right, turn to 44. The books ranged widely in terms of difficulty and complexity, often driven by which author was behind that particular story. And in many cases, they would introduce new special rules or slightly different ways of doing things. In some cases, you could be scared to death, or you might have special magical abilities. But there were always some things that were held in common across all of the books. There was beautiful black and white art that told the story as much as the words did. And there would always be 400 references. In most cases, number 400 would be an ending. When you read the immortal words, "turn to 400, you could be pretty sure you had done it. So how will this even work? What do I mean when I say that you are the YouTuber? And will you have to watch 400 separate videos in order to complete this thing? Well, I can't tell you how many videos there are, but I can tell you that you're the YouTuber because you're going to get to choose what topics we cover and in what order. I have been forced to separate the history of fighting fantasy across a number of different chapters to prevent it from falling into the hands of dark forces. You're going to go on a quest to reclaim that knowledge that is locked behind sigils. At the end of each video, you'll be making a choice about which sigil to choose for your next video. But know this, not every pathway leads to the knowledge you seek. Behind some of these sigils lie dangerous routes, dead ends, or worse. And yet, there are riches behind some sigils as well. Choose the right pathways, and you could find unfathomable treasures. And here's one further note of caution. Before you face the most dangerous dungeon denizen, make sure you find a weapon. Many dangers lie ahead, and your success is far from certain. Powerful adversaries are ranged against you, and often, your only choice will be to watch or not watch. So, here is your first decision. Before you lie 3 sigils, a 2-headed giant, a bird of prodigious size, or a fearsome dragon. Which of these is your path forward? May your stamina never fail. Now make your choice.